Welcome to the Sweet Spot Podcast, where we're all about helping players, coaches, and parents get the most out of the game. Whether you're stepping up to the plate, coaching from the dugout, or cheering from the stands, we got you covered with expert tips, strategies, and insights to make youth sports a better experience for everyone. Each episode, we'll share our own experiences and bring on special guests who will offer valuable advice on skill development, teamwork, and creating a positive environment for growth both on and off the field. So let's dive in and make the game even sweeter.
Play ball.
Welcome to another episode of the Sweet Spot Podcast. We got a coaching double play for you guys here today. We got Rudy Garbalosa from Lynn University, head baseball coach, and we have the awesome Jorge Pérez from St. Thomas University, head baseball coach. Gentlemen, welcome. Thank you for coming. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it. It's an honor to be here.
It's a nice little setup, as you've seen. Just delighted to be here, like always, with my boy Albert. So today we're gonna bring you guys a little something special. I think it correlates a lot with what we try to do with our audience, give them a different perspective, not only on where they're at as far as their development in youth baseball, but also what transitions afterwards with the college level and recruiting. And where that's at nowadays with you guys. So we have the NAIA perspective and the NCAA perspective, and I'm sure these coaches will enlighten our audience with a lot of great takes. And again, we leave it up to the audience to kind of take everything in and make the decisions they wish to. But I think you'll enlighten them with some of your insight and some of the stuff that you guys have encountered over the years.
So let's dive right in.
Okay.
JC, talk to us about the the recruiting process and how do you tackle that? Where do you begin? How do you prep for it? Year in, year out?
The recruiting has taken a life of its own. It used to be what worked for us in St. Thomas many years. Before we had 3 junior colleges here, and it used to be more than that, but always you had Miami-Dade, you had Palm Beach, you had Broward. And we used to get a lot of players from there. And we always tried to get not only junior college players or transfers from other schools, but also, good high school seniors that would complement those teams and then grow as time went on, grow and become good players in the program. We've always had a system in place that's been working for about 25, 30 years. I think it's a really good baseball system that helps players develop and become, much better, not only college players, but if they leave college and go to the pro ranks, they're more prepared in professional baseball. But recruiting has really taken a turn that if I were to tell you, is there a specific way that we recruit now? It's hard to give you an answer, yes, this is the way we go. Because technology has changed the process completely. COVID changed the process with guys getting extra years. And then now you have the NCAA portal, which has an enormous amount of players. So it's really changed. What I think it's done, it's made a lot of teams very competitive. If you look up and down the landscape, you got schools that were very competitive years ago, now all of a sudden competing at a high level. So those schools that were really good at one point and were good for a long time, it's harder to maintain that because there's a lot more players accessible than they were in the past. Ideally, I would love to have high school seniors come in the program because what happens with those types of players, as you get to develop them in what you believe in your system, so they grow to understand what you teach and how you do things, and those guys become close, and all of a sudden there is chemistry and they do play well together. The problem is that at our division, and I think Coach Garbalosa is going to say the same thing, if you play just young kids, it's very hard to compete. You're really gonna take a beating, And if you can take a beating for a little while and be okay with it, that's fine. But obviously, you want to compete and you want to do well every year. But there's no real way. This is the way we recruit. We're gonna try to go get the best players out there. Obviously, you try to get guys that have experience because experience really counts. And then you try to mix in some, college freshmen to start learning the process, and hopefully those guys can help you in the future. But for a certain, hey, this is one clear-cut way. It used to be like that. We used to get a lot of local guys. There was a lot of talent down here. We used to mix in Division I transfers and junior college transfers with college freshmen, and that used to work well. Now, that's not really the case. You got to go after the best players you can, and experience plays a big part of it. So I think that's where we're at on the recruiting landscape. There's no exact science anymore.
You mentioned technology. How have you been applying technology to that process?
Well, there's the process that we both use. There's a thing that we use that we pay for called Synergy. Synergy, how long has it been around, Coach?
I think it's at least 5 or 6 years. It's just trickling down to all the levels now, little by little over the years.
So, for example, we have a camera set up in center field behind the pitcher, another one behind the home plate. And we record the game. We send that to this company called Synergy that we pay for. And then they download that and they put it on this site that we pay for. Well, the good thing is that we have all our games recorded and they break down all our players. The bad thing is that everybody can see our players. He can see our players. I can see his. So on the college landscape, if we want to recruit, let's say a kid from Lynn wants to come to St. Thomas and is on the portal, gets in touch with me. I want to see him now. I'm going to look on Synergy and see his numbers, how he does against left-handed hitters, right-handed hitters, he's a position player, but also pitchers. You see every pitch they throw, you see their off speed, their velocities, and then it breaks it down percentages, what gets hit, what doesn't get hit, what they're successful with, what they're not successful with. So all of a sudden now, before I would have to call Coach, hey, give me his take on it. We used to have a good relationship with Major League Scouts, get their perspective, before we even thought about talking to a player. Now, you have all that. And on top of that, some schools have TrackMan too and other technology on their field. Then you could break down more numbers. So that's the thing that they have in Major League Baseball with analytics and hiring people to break that down. That's real. And it's at the college level too. So if a player now doesn't have the numbers that we think they need to have to succeed, we don't even look into it. So that's how technology has really changed the landscape in that perspective.
And let me ask you this: Is that process make it a little easier as far as bringing in a college existing player than bringing in a high school senior, because there is more technology now in place in the college level, whereas maybe there isn't enough in the high school landscape?
You want to take that?
Sure. If you're transfer portal, for example, since George mentioned the transfer portal, as of today, there's over 2,000 players, and the Division I's haven't even opened up yet. That opens June 1st. So those guys all have stats. Just even if, let's take out all of that technology. If you go on the internet and just go to their website and look at statistics, if someone has been out of school for 2 or 3 years, you're going to be able to see their stats. And because of the amount of players that are fighting for fewer spots, coaches in general are being more picky in terms of the numbers. And so if you're a pitcher and you have a lot of walks, so for example, let's say you've pitched, hypothetically, let's say you've pitched 20 innings and that guy has 20 walks, it's going to be very challenging for that player to get recruited. He's going to have to really work hard or go somewhere else to put up better numbers to move up in terms of his opportunities for baseball. So because of the availability of all the statistics and the data, not just the technology, that's another layer. You know, like if you think, even in high school, you've got all the Game Changer, the Max, all of these websites now that provide all this data that gives you a good barometer to start with. And because the bigger teams are doing it, it trickles down. And we're all following those steps as, okay, we're going to be able to be more efficient in our recruiting. If we have, let's say you have a hitter, right? And he's got 100 at-bats and he's got 40 strikeouts. Well, the theory is, and if you follow and ask the pro organizations, the scouts and them, it follows that the higher you go in the levels, the better the pitching and the better the hitters. So if I'm a hitter with 40 strikeouts here, when I go up to the next level, I'm expected to have more. And so all of those things matter in terms of how you train and how you develop. So I hope that gives you a little direction of where the game is right now. The game has gotten older since COVID, as George mentioned. It's gotten a lot older. And for high school players in general, you have to be more open-minded, I think, to continue playing. It's no longer just staying in your local area. If you really love this game, you have to be open-minded as to go and have a different path to your ultimate goal of where you want to play. You can still have a goal of, hey, I want to play at this school. However, the path to that school is not like it used to be, where I'm going to go as a freshman, build my way up and do all this, or I'll go to a junior college for 1 or 2 years. Those are only 2 possibilities now. Now because of the new rules, there's more opportunities. You can go to 4 or 5, not 5 because that would be it, but 3 or 4 different universities and get to the place that you want to go. It's no longer just the junior college or go as a freshman.
So Rudy, let me follow up something along that line. Where does, in terms of the high school player,
Right.
so the showcases, the tournaments, the high school season, where is that now? How is that weighted now compared to 10 years ago?
Right. Man, that's the $1 million question now.
That is.
Recruiting is changing ever so much. I know in speaking to some of my colleagues, fewer and fewer of them are going to the bigger tournaments over the summers. They're picking and choosing where they're spending their recruiting dollars because they're getting more bang for their buck because of they're using the baseline of the data, and then let's use our money to go target what we need. Right. So the majority of recruiting is timing and need, right? What do we need right now? Okay, I need a shortstop. Okay, what shortstops are available? Let me go look in the data and find a shortstop. But, hey, coach, I have a right fielder. Well, unfortunately, we have 3 right fielders. We're good. We don't need that. So the timing and the need also play into the luck of the draw, so to speak, for the high school players as well. You might be a really, really good catcher, but we have 3 catchers right now, and I have a junior and a senior. So I don't need a catcher right now. So all of those play into that as well. And I think with everything getting older, more and more schools are not covering tournaments like they used to, where they're going to cover every game of the tournament. They're going to come in and see you play, and then
Correct.
maybe see you play, and then I'm done. I'm gone. I'm going somewhere else, instead of being at the tournament for 5 days, covering everybody, taking all the names down and everything.
And seeing who sticks out,
And seeing who
aside
sticks
from
out.
the guy that you want.
Right.
Like it used to be. Now there's no need for that. Here's another layer to put in perspective. See, and this for the younger. I know there's a lot of young kids watching this or listening to it. There's recruiting platforms. There's a recruiting platform that I'm using right now. He's using also, that has every junior college player in the country on it, all their stats. But not only that, imagine he just said, looking for a shortstop. You can filter that recruiting platform and put all their shortstop, how they're rated from 1 to God knows. I mean, there's a ton of guys on there. So how you go down the list, and what is it you're looking for? Are you looking for a guy that's fast? You're looking for a guy that's agile? Defensive type of guy, a guy that could do both things, a left-handed bat, whatever. You can filter all that. So it breaks that down. There's technology out there to really help you in that perspective. So imagine us as a coach. I think also not only the players is hard for the players, I think it's hard for us because it's so much. You almost got to get overwhelmed. You got to stay focused. You got to stay in the lane that what you're really looking for, and be very, again, focus on what you want and try to find the players that fit your system the best. So it's not only hard on the players, but it's gotten hard on the coaches too. But you said it with the high school kids. It's very difficult. It's very difficult. I don't think travel ball is what it used to be honest with you. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
Before,
From a recruiting perspective, I would agree.
right. But think of travel ball years and years ago. Travel ball used to be the best players. They would put them on one team. So the coaches that took care of that travel ball team did the work for you. They would put all the best players on one team, and you could see 4 teams or 5 teams that had the best players in it, and then you can pick and choose. Because you knew if a team had a reputation that they had good players, you were going to go out there and see some talent. Now, there's so many travel teams, and it's so watered down, and there's players out there that are average to below average on a lot of teams. So it's almost, you don't have enough time as a coach to go see all those games. So I think personally what players need to do at the younger level is first, the training is important. Once you get serious about what you want to do, how you train is important. The weight room is extremely important. I'll give you an example. You know, there's players, and I'm not going to say exactly where, that are very talented, and you know, not from the States, but very talented that we see all the time, but they don't hit the weight room as much. So it takes them about a year or two to get, you know, developed. To fill in and then help you at the college level to put up, you know, good numbers. But get in the weight room, train well, enjoy what you're doing. You don't need to go to 6,000 showcases to get seen. You really don't. You have to be very choosy, very smart picking the right ones. And I think also you need someone that can really help you a little bit down the line, whether it's a coach, you're a high school coach, or somebody that really can, you know, help you in the process and understands the you know, how really recruiting works, you know, and they can help you get to the right school, which I think is the hardest thing. Don't you agree? And it's really hard for those kind of, you know, for those players.
Coaches, for those parents out there that are really looking, you know, that are willing to spend the money to get their kids recruited, when it comes to whether it's platforms or spending the money wisely, what do you think now over the summer, for example, if you gave them the perspective of what you're looking for and where you think they should be spending the money, what do you think you would recommend to them?
Are we talking high school or young?
I guess talking high school.
High school.
Talking high school.
So for high school kids, I've talked to quite a few high school coaches in the spring during our games, asking them about, hey, what are you guys telling your players, and what kind of recruiting are your current players getting at some good high school programs, very good high school programs? And all of them are giving me the same answer. Hey, I'm telling my kids, wherever opportunity shows up, take it immediately. Doesn't matter where, because you're going to have to work your way to whatever school is if you want to play baseball, you're going to have to work your way back to whatever school it is you want it to be at. You know, you want to go to St. Thomas? Well, you know what? This school in Seattle recruited me. All right, go there. That's the only school that recruited me. Go there and get better, develop, and work your way back, and then eventually come and play for George. That's what the high school coaches are telling me, that's what's happening in the market, because the game's gotten older, so there's fewer spots. So if you can get a spot, take it, so you can develop in strength and in baseball.
I think the junior college route is a big route for high school kids. You know why? Because in junior college, freshmen and sophomores play. So it's not as big a jump as for a high school senior to go to Lynn University when he's playing juniors and seniors that are 21, 22, 23 years old. Yeah. Correct? You're playing with other players that are 18, 19 years old, so you probably can compete right away. So the junior college route is good, but just like you said, it doesn't have to be in Florida. You know, Florida junior colleges are not easy. It could be anywhere around the country. It could be in Texas, it could be in Georgia, it could be in Alabama, anywhere. That'll give you that opportunity. But you have to be open-minded. The hardest thing is convincing, and we don't have to do anything convincing, is the parents convincing themselves, and more importantly, the player convincing themselves. I think I read something which you know, not opened up my eyes, but I said, well, that's true. Where there's players that think they can go to a school just because they're talented. If you don't put up numbers in another college, what coach is going to care how talented you think you are? You have to prove it. It has to. He just said you have to have numbers, and then you have to be able to prove that you can hit good pitching. You have to be able to prove that you can get good hitters out. How do you do that? The numbers show it. Statistics show it. You know, and if you can do that, now you give yourself an opportunity. Go where they give you an opportunity to play. He said it best. I think you have to try to go to the school that's going to give you any type of chance. Continue to work your butt off, and if you really believe in yourself, just make it happen.
And aside from that, for the players out there, also given how everything has changed, because as players, one time we had in mind, oh, this is where I want to play. Mm-hmm. And if you weren't here and you landed here, you were kind of upset or disappointed with yourself. And it's no, you can still get to where you see yourself playing, but instead of starting here, you're gonna start a little bit lower, and that's fine.
Right.
What about social media? Have you seen anything that is worth touching up on, whether it's, I don't know, because I've seen a lot of cases on Twitter or Instagram that the guys put videos of them throwing bullpens or whatever it is, and they get some traction. Have you guys had any experience with that?
We follow that. That's the language of this young generation is the social media, Instagram, the Twitters, and so forth. X, I think it's called now.
Yeah.
So for us, that's the old, I'm going to give you the former method. That's the email with the video back in the day. Right. You send me an email with the video. Now it's a post. And same thing, it's an intro. So you get it. Oh, hey, you know what? This looks interesting. First step, what do you think coaches are going to do? Let's go look at the stats.
Yeah.
Right? So, hey, I throw a pitcher. I throw 91. I've got a 82-mile-an-hour slider. Awesome. Pull up the stats. Because the stats are what are going to tell us whether he's going to be able to play or not when he comes to our program. Does velocity, it's great because we have this discussion all the time in this game. That's why I think it's wonderful. I love velocity, but I love strikes a lot more than I like velocity when you're a pitcher, just like as a hitter. I love home runs. I think every offensive coach loves home runs, but we hate strikeouts a lot more than we love home runs at our levels. And those are the things that are important in terms of seeing whether, okay, can this young man fit in right now? Or do they need more development before they come to our level? And that's how we use the videos. And I know I went a little sidebar there, but
No, but you're right. I mean, how many times you see a video, he just talked about the velocity, you go look at their stats, and he's walked 25 guys in 23 innings. You say, well, that guy's not going to help you. So you have to, that's an intro, but then you follow up with numbers because numbers are not going to lie. And then after numbers, we go even deeper, right?
Right. You call the coach, you got to find out the people.
And where is he doing it? What type of competition is up there? I mean, you can't compare the schools in New York to the competition we play. How can that guy come down here and be successful? So you even have to be very choosy of the players, maybe up north.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
And then academics, I would imagine, also fit into what you're looking at as a player. So can you touch a little bit on academics and trying to get the audience to not only engage their kids on the physical and the player perspective, but also making sure that they hit the books, they hit school, and that's a priority
once
for
they
them.
get past the sports filter.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
What's the subsequent filters that they go through?
Well, to me, that's the most important thing here. This is academics. And, George and I both work at private institutions, right? The majority of scholarship dollars are in academics, not in athletics. So what does academics do, right? Number one, it opens doors for opportunities for being able to go to different schools, have different options. It gives me the ability to get more money. So academics trumps everything in terms of setting yourself up to have the baseball experience that you need. The lower your academics are, the tougher it is for you to wiggle to where you want to be in baseball. The better your academics, the easier it is to go find the path and end up where you want to be. Maybe you want to end up at a school that has a highly rigorous academics. Well, if you're starting off at a low base of academics, you have a long way to go, both athletically and academically. Whereas if you have good academic habits, you have a lot of doors that will open up to you, I think. What do you think, George?
100%. To getting to the school, easier to get into the university and to be accepted into a lot of schools. Academic money, you're going to get more. So it helps the coach because as coaches, we have to put 25 or 30 guys on the field. So how do you put a competitive 25 or 30 guys on the field, a competitive team? How do you field that? Well, you move your scholarship money around. So the higher the guys, the higher they score on their SATs, the better grades that they have, they're going to get more academic money. It's easier to fill out the roster that way. So again, it opens up doors, opens up opportunities. Another thing to hit on is when you have smart players, you play better.
Absolutely.
So you want smart players in your system, in your program, because when you're teaching them a lot of new concepts, a lot of new ways of doing things, the player is not only talented, but also are intelligent and can pick up things quickly, are gonna succeed quicker than the players that struggle with those types of things. So the smarter your team is academically and just overall, I think the better your team's gonna be. So yeah, I like having smart guys in our program.
And
So
you don't have to worry as much about their academic rigor. If you have good students, you know, there's not as many concerns in terms of how they're going to do in the academic in the classroom when they're here.
because we have a lot to do. You have to worry about, you know, that they're going to tutoring, that they're getting extra help, and you have to worry about that on every player. It makes it difficult for us. But if you have players that are responsible, that are on top of their stuff, that meet their schedules, that go to class, it makes it easier because you know you don't have to worry about that guy. You know, so I think now too the coaches have more to do today than ever. Mm-hmm. So academics is huge, and having smart players in the program is very big.
Coach, can you elaborate a little bit more on the scholarship aspect of what you guys do from a school perspective on scholarship, what you guys have for your schools, and how same thing academics fits in and helps you guys out on the scholarship level for the team wise?
Well, I like Coach talk because there's two different. Obviously, he's an NCAA school. We're not, so the scholarship aspect is different. So I'll let him talk about his. You know, well, I guess NCAA Division II, right?
In NCAA Division II has a maximum of 9 total scholarships available, not per year. That's total. So make it easy. If school is $10,000 a year, that's $90,000 a year total that can be allocated to athletic scholarships. So it's not 9 this year and 9 next year. It's a total. There can only be $90,000 total in those given out in athletic scholarships. So if you have, let's say you have all juniors except for one guy who's on scholarship, and everybody's on, making it easy math here. So we have 90,000. Everybody's on $10,000. We're going communist method here, right? Everybody's on 10 grand. So that one dude, that one senior who is off the 10 grand, right? Now we only have $10,000 available to offer anybody. That's where the academic portion comes in at private schools, especially because you're able to combine academic and athletic monies. And there are some limitations to that, but for our purposes here, for the most part, you can combine academic and athletic. And the academic portion is always greater than the athletic portion in NCAA schools. There's other grants, too, that you may be able to qualify for. Each state also has certain grants, like Florida has the Florida Ease Grant. Every other state sometimes has their own grants that you can also qualify for, which then can combine and add to that athletic scholarship. So that's where that timing and need comes into play. So we're looking for a shortstop, but we only have $10,000. Doesn't matter how good that shortstop is. The only money available is what is available. There's a cap. So it's kind of like if you look at NBA has a salary cap. MLB doesn't have a salary cap. That's how college sports are operating more like the NCAA, like an NBA thing where you have a salary cap and you cannot go past that limit. Otherwise, you get in trouble.
The way it is for NAI is a little different. We're maxed out at 12. You're allowed 12. But the difference is with us than with them is that academic counts into that. Okay, so if you're getting 10,000 academic and 10,000 baseball, that's a total of $20,000. So the way it works in an NAI school, whatever a student pays for tuition, room and board, and books, whatever that total is, that's one complete one. So if it's $45,000, that's one. Well, you get 12 of those. But remember, everything, like I told you, academic counts, athletics count. Well, one thing that's different with us, and you touched up on the grades, that's big for us because what happens is, for example, if we're giving a player 12,000 academic and 12,000 baseball, and there's a total of 24,000 on scholarship. If he has a 3.6 or above, it counts towards the school, but it doesn't count towards your total scholarship. That player is exempt from that because of his grades. So when it goes back to the NAIA, Yeah, we gave him 24,000, but it's really zero on that guy.
Frees up cap space.
Right, correct. So then what happens is if you have a 3-3 or above, now it counts as half. So that player that was 24,000 is really 12. So you play with that, and sometimes you over recruit, or not over recruit, that's the wrong word, but you give a little bit more money knowing that you have smart kids that are not going to count against you, that have the grades that are not going to count against you. So, on the pitching side, I know we try to bring in more pitchers because pitchers, they either underperform sometimes or injuries happen or whatever. So, and this is a cruel game that we're talking about, baseball, isn't it?
Yep.
So you're playing the game and you think one person's going to do that and they don't perform, or a player that you don't think is going to do as much does very well. And then it just, things happen. So you always try to, at least on the pitching side, have a few more pitchers because pitchers always get an opportunity. As long as I've been coaching, and I know you're the same way, you have a pitcher, he doesn't have the stuff yet. I don't think we're going to use him. And you end up using him, and all of a sudden, he ends up being one of your top guys. Because he's throwing strikes, he's changing speeds, he's getting bad contact, and all of a sudden, a guy that you really didn't count on becomes a guy for you. And the guy that you recruited to be one of the better players is having trouble performing. So it just, not to get off the subject a little bit, but so scholarship-wise, with us is a little different. We have a little more when you say 12, but we really don't, because he says 9,000, but that's on the athletic side, correct?
Correct. 900.
We're saying 12, but we're combining both. And how do you offset what he does? Well, with the grades. The guy counts as full, the guy counts as half, so it works out.
Pivoting, but staying more or less along the same subject, which is financial. Because we have a lot of families that are going to watch this. From your perspective, how would you guide a typical family that is supportive of their son or daughter, whether it's softball, soccer, but we're going to stick to baseball? How would you guide, or what recommendations do you have for that family that is supporting the kid in terms of allocating, financially speaking, their money into their kid to be able to have exposure and be able to see and be able to, for college coaches to see them? Like, how would you guide those parents? Like, for example, allocate 25% of your budget into showcases and 30% into, it is.
Yeah. Are we talking high school age?
Yep.
Maybe a little younger? High school age? Sure. Okay, so let's say high schooler. I think a little differently. I'm a little outside the box guy, and against the grain a little bit with what the norm is. Because for me, joy is the number one thing. I'm going to follow my kids' passion, their joy. If they're asking for more, I'm going to try and give them more. If I'm the one saying, hey, dude, hey, let's get you in this, let's get you in that, me, that means it's me. It's not him, or her if it's a softball or whatever other sport there is. So to me, that's guide number one is follow your son's or daughter's passion, joy to whatever sport we're doing. Then from there, I would say allow the opportunities of the game that the game brings to you to show you where to go. There is no, I have to. Once you're saying I have to me, that's one you don't do. If you have to do something, it's never, like, think about this. I have to take out the trash. Boy, I love doing that when I was a kid. My parents used to yell at me all the time for that. Like, nothing that you have to do, you ever want to do, or you do passionately. So if you ever think I have to do something, to me, take that off the books.
I love that.
Do something that your son wants to, that you guys want to, that's going to be beneficial, and there's joy, because when there's joy, everybody performs better. Your son's you're going to see a smile on his face. He's going to have a much better experience, which will then lead to other things and other experiences. I think we put the cart before the horse a lot, where we have to do this, this, and this so that they get this opportunity. We don't even know where the opportunity is going to come from a lot of times. They come out of left field. I know this is called Sweet Spot, so I'm going to use a little paradise. It's a great name, by the way. I love that name. So that comes out of left field.
Yeah.
And you don't even see it coming. And all of a sudden, bam, all because you did something that your son wanted to do, it was joyful, and you took away the have tos. Other than that, there is no formula anymore. There's no, hey, I gotta go to this tournament, I'm going here, I'm going there. That doesn't, it's changing, it's constantly changing. If there's some schools that have the majors and there's schools that they may be interested in, use that money instead of forcing all these things in the summer. Use that money to go visit the school, and maybe they have a camp, and then you can actually meet the coaches and be like, I can play for that guy, or there's no way I'm playing for that guy. Like, there's a lot of value in knowing what you're getting into. There's a lot more to this other than just the baseball, like, hey, I'm going to play here, you know? The environment, the school, the coaching staff, all of that matters, and all of that has to make it a great experience.
And he touched on, I've been saying this for 15 years. Things change, technology changes, there's a lot more accessibility to a lot of things, but at the end, I see myself going back to the same things I said years ago. If you're interested, if you really want to play college baseball, then go and pick 10 schools that you're interested in, that have what you want to study, that might have the type of environment that you want to be in, that are maybe in a city or in a town that you might want to be interested in. Invest those dollars as a parent to go to this university. Do a tour, just like Coach said. They have camps or different workouts, and go and do that personally. Now, maybe the best thing would be that Coach knows you're coming and has some idea of who you are before you show up. That would help. So I think that's still the best formula, you know. And then obviously, if you get opportunity somewhere else, then you weigh your options. But I always really, really believe that that's the way, the avenue to go. And on top of that, how do you get noticed, right? Mm-hmm. That's big. How do you get noticed as a player? Well, it's not only on the average, it's not only on how far you hit the ball, it's not only how hard you throw the ball. There's a lot to be said when you're on the field, when you hustle everywhere, you get to the field early on time, you put in extra effort, maybe you take extra swings before anybody, you're one of the last ones to leave, you play catch with a purpose, you play defense with a tremendous amount of hustle, you play with joy, you're respectful to your coaches. You know, you do that consistently, you're going to get noticed. If I'm a coach, if I'm your high school coach and you give me that effort every day, I'm going to feel I want to try to help you. I don't know how many connections I might have, but I want to try to help you. If you come out with that type of effort every day and you show that you love the sport and you respect the game and everything, I think that type of thing, those types of things are going to help you. I don't think a lot of players do that enough, you know? And one thing that I always say, when you go to a tournament, when we were kids, where do we play tournaments? Well, I don't think there was tournaments back then. There were leagues, right?
Yeah.
There were leagues, and you just play, and you played anywhere. You played in a high school field. Now, where are these players playing? They go to JetBlue. They go play a tournament in Major League fields. They go to these unbelievable facilities, and you go watch those games, and there's almost no energy. Not all the time, but there's very little energy in these games. Imagine when we were kids, if you got a chance to hit in the same batter's box that your hero practices in, that you couldn't sleep that night because you were going to go play on that field, and they take a lot of things for granted now that, you know, we as players, as kids, were like, oh my God, look what I'm playing.
It was exhilarating for us.
Correct. So I think, look, we've been around the game for a long time, and I've learned a lot of things from scouts in the past. And the best scouts that I know wouldn't just look at you throw or hit. They would see how you treated your parents on the sidelines, how you showed up to the game, how you played catch on the side, how you stretched out on the side. Everything counts. And if you're able to take care of all the little things, then I think the bigger things will come to you in more opportunities than you even dream of. But you have to have the love for the game. You have to do those things consistently. This is a very hard game to begin with. And the landscape has gotten harder. So what are you going to do personally to stand out? And I don't think there's enough players that do that. You know?
What I tell my kids all the time is there's always someone watching. And the first time I said it, there was like nobody in the room. They're like, there's nobody here. I'm like, it doesn't matter. There's always someone watching.
That's
When
where
you
we grew up,
least
right?
expect it, right?
Yeah.
There's always someone watching.
So if you just try to do things when they show up, it's just never going to be real. You know, you have to make it a habit, right? You have to do it right every day.
You can tell when it's not something that is an everyday or a lifestyle or a perspective type of thing. If it's just, oh, I know that so-and-so is coming here to watch the game, whether I'm in high school or Little League or whatever it is, you're going to be able to tell as an adult when a kid is faking it.
Right. And you know what's amazing? When I go see games, like the smallest thing, like I look at the guy that's on deck, how he prepares for his at-bat. That to me is important. Now, I'm looking at, obviously, the game. I'm looking at the hitter. I'm looking at the pitch. But I'll go and I'll take a look over there. And if that guy's not timing the pitch or looks like he's locked in and getting ready for his at-bat, we're trying to win a national championship. That guy's going to come in and help us. I almost cross him off. Maybe not on the paper, but mentally I do. It's not ready to play. So all the little things, it's very important. And I know him and I talk a lot. I want to recruit players that love the game more than I do. That's hard to do. If we recruit players like that, I know we're going to be really good.
Absolutely.
We say that all the time. But if I love the game a lot more than you do, there are problems.
Right.
Yeah.
That's an extension almost to the same dynamic of the parent saying, hey, we're going to do this. Hey, we're going to do that.
Correct.
We're going to go here. We're going to